What is up, guys, and welcome to the Being Beautifully Honest podcast and channel. Thanks for being here, being subbed. If you're not, hit the button, and if you're listening on YouTube, hit the like. It's like walking in the room and hitting that light switch. Let's brighten up the place and get into the politics and BS. Thanks for bearing with me as I have this fan blowing in the background, suffering through waiting for the home warranty company to come out and replace my entire HVAC unit after Tropical Storm Debbie. Power outage, power surge, blew the coils, and the system needs to be replaced. So while they drag their feet because they don't want to pay the money, but they are going to do it, I'm suffering in this heat and I'm dealing with it while I'm at home. So anyway, let's go ahead and get into this because I wanted to talk about this a few days ago when I saw this. So I'm going to share this video with you guys and we're going to go ahead and get into it. All right, guys. So I'm going to go ahead and get into this video here. So just bear with me. All right.
And we begin tonight with Evangelicals, a group that, in a surprising twist, is mobilizing support for the Kamala Harris presidential campaign. One group, Evangelical Christians for Kamala Harris, released a new ad highlighting that time Donald Trump told the Family Leadership Summit in Iowa that he does not ask God for forgiveness.
Have you ever asked God for forgiveness? That's a tough question. I'm not sure I have. I don't bring God into that picture. I don't.
Evangelical Christians for Kamala Harris was not on anyone's bingo card for 2024 because most people assume evangelical is synonymous with conservative. It's not. There are plenty of evangelicals who reject the mean, selfish version of the religion that follows Jesus the Christ. We call them red letter Christians. Think Bishop William Barber, friend of the show, who is, wait for it, an evangelical Christian. Think of the Christian pastors who led the civil rights movement. Think Rev Sharpton. Not all Christians are the evangelical white dudes with main character energy from The Handmaid's Tale. But this most surprising election does keep delivering surprises. Even some white evangelical Protestants are fed up with Trump. That is a group that gave him 84% of their national vote in 2020. They're not alone in tiring of his act. A separate group, Christians for Kamala, had a Zoom meeting last night that included leaders from several progressive Christian groups, urging supporters to get behind Harris and Walz. Call it divine intervention, or perhaps lots of Christians are just getting fed up with being associated with the hateful vision of Donald Trump, his Bible stunts and religious hypocrisy, and are fighting back with a counter-narrative to conservative evangelicals' overwhelming support for Trump.
I mean, look at him. He's such a fraud, sitting there holding the Bible up for the photo op that happened during the George Floyd protests that were happening in 2020. Like, seriously, he probably was like, what is this? Because I'm quite sure that wasn't even his idea. It's stupid enough to be one of his ideas, but I believe it was somebody in his cabinet at the time. It was their idea. And he probably was like, what's this?
These groups say the conversation on faith and spirituality has been hijacked by the Christian right. And the list continues. The groups that have been hijacked by MAGA who want their identities back include unions, including the United Auto Workers, which is launching a nationwide effort to mobilize its 1 million active and retired workers to vote for VP Harris. The National Black Caucus of the International Brotherhood of Teamsters Union also endorsed Vice President Harris for the presidency. As the union's national president, Union President Sean O'Brien, who spoke at the Republican National Convention last month, is now himself slamming Trump for his anti-labor comments during his bro fest with Elon Musk. Lots of Republicans are also fed up with the magnification of their party, which is why Republicans for Harris online rally was attended virtually by 73,000 people and where former elected Republican officials and party leaders like former Republican Congressman and January 6th Commission member Adam Kinzinger made the case for supporting the Democratic ticket. Are we in the Twilight Zone, but like the really happy, not creepy kind? Or maybe. There's nothing strange about the fact that the Harris-Walz ticket is a movement beyond just voting against Trump. It's a movement to vote for something, to vote for a change. A ticket with zero Ivy Leaguers, no one born with a silver spoon, but instead regular Americans who worked regular jobs, like Harris working her way through college with a job at McDonald's, or Walz being a teacher and football coach with no stocks and bonds in his portfolio. Folks who know what it's like to be middle class and build your life, not just inherit it.
Like, are you listening to that? Build your life and not just inherit it. And that's why it's been so maddening for me when I heard people talk about, well, Donald Trump, he would be what's best for this country. Think about it in like real life terms. The people who really had to work for what they got versus they were given what they got, who usually are the ones that really truly put in the work and effort and have some compassion for other people because they really know what it is to not have and to work through life to actually get somewhere where you're able to live a more better, decent life and lifestyle versus somebody like Trump in the real life terms of people who were just given everything. They don't have appreciation for life. They don't understand what it means to really work hard or whatever. And listen, I'm not saying that Donald Trump is the first person in politics to be able to live a lifestyle of not having to want for anything, whatever. That's not what I'm saying. But because we know his story for the most part from the beginning to where he is now, and given by the way of his own family that he disinherited, Mary Trump, Fred Trump III, how he said Fred Trump III's son, because he's disabled, you should just stop caring for his medical care because all he's doing is burning up money. He doesn't even know who you are. Just let him stop being taken care of. He'll die off and then you can just live your life. That's the type of man that people want to be the president of the United States still after knowing that. But of course, those people that really truly are die hard for him, they just don't listen to stuff like that. They'll put their fingers in their ears and say la 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 if someone were to try to tell them about it or get them to listen to it. So we already know how that goes. But the others, like these black men or so-called, I don't even like to say so-called, but some of these black women that want to put the focus on what her identity is. Who freaking cares if she's Indian, if she's black, if she's whatever? I couldn't care if she was a Smurf at this point. Like I told you all, if Biden was on a stretcher or on life support, I was going to vote for him. No, that didn't make me feel good. And I'm not saying that we should have to be in a state where it's like, well, you're voting for the lesser of the two evils. But like Joy Reid was just saying, it's a little different now because it doesn't seem like you're just voting for the lesser of the two evils or voting just to keep somebody out. Yes, we're voting to keep him out, but also I believe there's more of a chance of some breakthroughs for people that really want them. So instead of people sitting around and complaining about it, unfortunately with politics, it is one of those things where, yeah, you want to hear what they're going to do for you or for people like you that is going to benefit your life and lifestyle. I'm not saying that people shouldn't want something for their vote, but in this state that we're in, and especially where we are right now, we're in the middle of August. The election is in a few months. People don't have time to sit around and sit and twiddle their fingers and thumbs and say, I wonder what she's going to do for me. You already know Donald Trump isn't going to do anything for you. So these black guys who are talking about this stuff online, really for them, it's more so talking points and content. A lot of them aren't even registered to vote. Let's just be real. Like seriously, a lot of them, they aren't even really registered to vote. So a lot of them that sit around talking about, yeah, I don't know if I'm going to vote for her. if they even are registered, they've probably already been purged from the voter rolls years ago because they've been doing that type of stuff for years. So if they just wanted to go on election day and vote, it would probably not pull them up because they've probably been purged from the voter rolls for years. But yet they're sitting around doing podcasts and creating content surrounding this because it's a hot topic. So yeah, you do have to cast your vote, but also do your part so that your voice can be heard to ensure that what you are desiring to see happen in her administration, there's more of a chance of it happening. But it's not going to happen by people sitting around and complaining online, in chat rooms, on Clubhouse, on Twitter Spaces, on a podcast, in a social media post. Like, seriously, do you really think that with all the stuff going on, they're sitting around and focusing on Dr. Umar Johnson, Stephen A. Smith? But I digress.
These aren't people backed mainly by billionaires and whose sole policy idea is to cut taxes even further for the super rich and corporations. And Americans are starting to really appreciate that. Harris is leading or tied with Trump in 6 of 7 key swing states, per a Wednesday report from the nonpartisan Cook Political Report. And they will roll through Pennsylvania on a bus tour on Sunday, dropping in on the crucial battleground state just days before the Democratic National Convention in Chicago. Speaking of the Keystone State, a new Quinnipiac poll of Pennsylvania finds Harris leading Trump by 3 points among likely voters in a head-to-head matchup. Blue-collar voters, the battlegrounds, Christians, unions, and even Republicans are part of the incredible momentum that we're seeing right now. These people want their brands back. They're not all MAGA. And I think they want their country back too. Joining me now is Olivia Troy, member of Republicans for Harris and former senior advisor to Vice President Mike Pence, MSNBC political analyst and former Senator Claire McCaskill of Missouri, and the Reverend Al Sharpton, the aforementioned Reverend Al Sharpton, host of Politics Nation on MSNBC.
So I want to pause it for a moment. So this woman right here, she used to be assistant to former Vice President Mike Pence. Remember the same one that Donald Trump wanted to see hanging from the gallows, wanted to see his head in the block and chopped by the guillotine for not infringing on the people's right to vote and just certifying the election in favor of Donald Trump. So because Mike Pence finally got some balls to do the right thing and stand up, Donald Trump was happy to see these crazy people who invaded the Capitol on January 6th of 2021 that were yelling, "Hang Mike Pence." And if you didn't hear about all that stuff that was going on, he was loving it. He was enjoying it. He was sitting, watching it on TV like a lot of us was. He was enjoying it. All right. But she is his former assistant, and she is a part of the group Republicans for Harris.
I'm going to come to the folks that are remote just more, but I do want to start here at the table. I was really struck by what the former lieutenant governor of Georgia had to say. I don't know if we have that soundbite of him, really just like talking about like what do we want our kids to remember us for. You were on that call yesterday. What was it like being on a call full of Republicans but who are supporting a Democrat?
It was amazing. I'll be honest. I mean, it was such a privilege. I moderated the conversation, and it was so powerful, and I would say something that gave me hope for the first time in a long time about the Republican Party's future was the responses that were happening in the chat as this call was happening. Just hearing from Republicans across the country. One of them who said, I have voted Republican my entire life. I've been voting Republican since Reagan, and I am going to vote for Kamala now. And I think to me, I think what people see in Kamala Harris is traditional values that we all look to, right? I mean, it's traditional values for America. It's the values of protecting our individual freedoms, standing strong as America for America's democracy, standing strong with our allies internationally. I think those traditionally in the past were, I would say, conservative. Yes, back in the day.
Yeah.
It was incredible. And the stories and the conversation and the speeches people gave, I think were very personal like Rosario Marin, she served in the George W. Bush administration. She was the 41st U.S. Treasurer of the United States, and she spoke about what it was like. You know, she's a Mexican American, and what it's like to see all these ugly narratives about immigrants and minorities in the country that she sees in the Republican Party today, and how that's not the party that she identifies with.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I'm going to stop it right there. I'll put the full video link in the description box if you want to check it out. But I think that's really important because there already were Republicans against Trump. There were the people that were called never Trumpers. And ironically, the man that Trump picked as his running mate, he was a never Trumper. There's video content of him out there saying, I am a never Trumper. He called him crazy. He said he believes that he was America's next Hitler, or could be America's Hitler, not next Hitler, because America has not had one, to my knowledge. But it's just the fact that more people are standing up and they are not going to allow what they felt is supposed to be, because they have this label of Christian or evangelical, to force them to vote for this man who is nothing Christ-like. Nothing about him is even remotely close to what a Christian is allegedly supposed to be. So I wasn't expecting that. I'm not saying that I wasn't expecting anyone who carried that label to vote for her, but the fact that it's drawn like this bigger crowd of people, it's a good thing to see, because the few people that were speaking out that had the label of Republican, really, and even fewer that carried the label of evangelical, those that came out to speak against being for Trump, they were like destroyed. Like, seriously. So that's why a lot more people were not comfortable with coming out and saying, you know what, I'm not going to support this guy. A lot of them, they just silently didn't support him, and they wouldn't come out and speak out against him. And they may have not voted for him, but they didn't vote for Joe Biden either in the last election. So that's why the election really was as close as it was in the first place. But with the way things are right now, I really would be hard pressed to believe that he has a snowball's chance of hell of winning this election. And I'm happy about it, but it has to keep going. And so we're going to continue to talk about it over here. I'm going to continue to do my part. I want you all that are listening to make sure you've done yours by making sure that you are registered. If you had already registered, check your registration to make sure you have not been purged from the voter polls. And if you haven't registered, please find out where you need to get that done. I believe you can do it online, and go ahead and register to vote, and find out when early voting is in your county, and just go ahead and get it done. Don't wait until election day to vote. So, guys, thanks for being here, liking, and subscribing. I'm Beth, just being beautifully honest. So, until next time, I wanted to keep it brief, beautiful, and now I'm going to say bye.